And at 10, Wolverine and Elektra. On Earth 982, Rena was the new girl at high school, where some of the more popular girls tried to make her life miserable, stating that she was the daughter of an immigrant and an unemployed biker. However, when her father Logan ended up picking her up from school on his bike, opinions changed about her, especially when they learned that her mother Elektra was a wealthy martial arts expert. Yeah, it's kind of funny how those things will just change like that. However, life at high school wasn't just about dealing with the in-crowd. As Wild Thing, Rena had to save a classmate from a high-speed kidnapper, defeat a computerized assassin, stop a demonic invader, and even fight one of her teachers when he was turned into a Prime Sentinel. But then again, that's just high school. Another Sky High reference for those of you keeping track. Rena first appeared in J2 number 5 in 1998 and was created by Ron Lim and Tom DeFalco, even if technically she was created by Logan and Elektra. And at 9, Clint Barton and She-Hulk. On Earth 9811, Clint Barton Jr. was the son of two Avengers, Clint Barton aka Hawkeye and Jennifer Walters aka the She-Hulk, from an alternate reality where the heroes and villains assembled by the Beyonders to fight in a conflict known as the Secret Wars never left Battle World, the patchwork planet created by the Beyonder for them to fight on. After the heroes and villains called a truce, many of them settled down to raise families in a portion of the city of Denver that formed part of the planet. When their children were in their late teens though, the son of Dr. Doom and Enchantress, Vincent, assembled a team of the other villains' children and battled the children of the heroes, including Mustang, until their parents intervened. Kinda like when a couple groups of kids get into a fight on a playground until their parents drag them home. Man, I love that parallel. Mustang apparently possessed some degree of superhuman strength and durability inherited from his mother, and it is possible that he was as strong as her. However, because his father was not superhuman and due to his young age, it's unknown. Although he is also a skilled marksman because his father's Hawkeye. And at 8, Human Torch and the Wasp. On that same Earth of 9811, Johnny Storm and Janet Van Dyne also had a son. Unlike his hot-headed father and assertive mother though, Matthew had more of a nervous personality. Like I said previously, when the children were in their late teens, Vincent, the son of Dr. Doom and Enchantress, assembled a team of the villains and battled the children of the heroes, including Firefly, until their parents intervened. After the altercation though, the heroes' children used a device created by the Hulk to travel back to Earth. However, they arrived on an alternate Earth where the Sentinels ruled America and they had wiped out most of the planet's mutants and superhumans. After defeating one of the robots, the kids decided that they had a purpose to rid this world of the Sentinels. Matthew has the powers of both of his parents, pyrokinesis, flight, and shrinking because of Pym particles. Matt can also produce blasts made of solar energy that heats up one's molecules to the extent that the person will be incinerated. His powers also come from the sun or some other heated cosmic force. And if he exerts himself too much, he will actually be left powerless, which I think being small would help with, because like you don't have to punch as hard because it's like all that force concentrated to one tiny area. And at 7, the Human Torch and Crystal. Unlike Earth 616, Earth 98 does not operate on a sliding time scale, and as such the passage of time and the details of events have progressed much slower. In this reality, the modern age of heroes, which is identified as the birth of the Fantastic Four, occurred in the year 1961, whereas the Earth 616 universe currently measures the modern age as being in existence for about 14 years. On this world, the Human Torch renewed his romance with Crystal of the Inhumans. They had a child together named Ray. Ray grew up alongside his stepsister Luna, who grew up to be a rebellious teenager named Spike. That's funny, I know one of those. Raymond does not have powers like his father though, instead inheriting his inhuman mother's abilities. But he uses them to have powers like his father, since he manipulates energy and can change his shape. And at 6, Black Cat and Agent Venom. On Earth 982, Felicity Hardy was the daughter of Spider-Man's former girlfriend and crime-fighting partner Felicia Hardy, aka the Black Cat, and his high school rival and later friend Flash Thompson, also known as Agent Venom. Felicia helped train her young daughter in gymnastics and martial arts, but when Felicia left Flash for her lesbian girlfriend, Felicity took it kinda hard, becoming resentful. Knowing that Felicia would be furious if Felicity became a costumed hero like her mother once was, Felicity sought out Spider-Girl, hoping that Spider-Girl would help take her on as a sidekick. Wearing Spider-Girl's costume, Felicity confronted her hero to prove that she would make a great crime fighter, even revealing that she knew Spider-Girl's secret identity as May Parker. Spider-Girl, however, refused to take a non-powered teenager into battle, which makes sense. But not dissuaded, Felicity began to look through old news reports involving Spider-Man and came across an article that showed Spider-Man fighting alongside his clone, Scarlet Spider. She quickly created a Scarlet Spider themed costume and once again tried to be a hero without powers. Halfway through into number 5, Franklin Richards and Rachel Summers. David Richards is the son of Franklin Richards and Rachel Summers until his parents were killed and he was taken by Sentinels. However, he had two two destinies. He is destined as the most powerful mutant in this reality since, you know, he's the son of literally the most powerful being in all of realities, and either he could be mentored by Sabretooth for life or he could die. The reality hopping teams, the Exiles and Weapon X, arrived on David's world on a mission to liberate him from a Sentinel holding facility. Both teams battled the Sentinels guarding the facility and managed to find David. He was being held along with other mutant children. Not wanting to leave the fate of these children in the hands of the Sentinels, Blink decided to teleport the other children out as well. After that, Sabretooth and Blink received another mission from the Talus, which was unpleasant for them because it was to kill David in order to safeguard the reality. So, yeah. Should go read that. And at 4, Nightcrawler and the Scarlet Witch. The daughter of Nightcrawler and Scarlet Witch of Earth 2182, Nocturne, inherited her father's blue fur, 3-toed hands and feet, a tail, yellow eyes, and pointed ears. But as a third-generation mutant, however, Nocturne also developed her own abilities. Talia grew up with the X-Men, who at this time consisted of their team leader Wolverine, who would not engage in active combat as he was mortally injured, field leader Nightcrawler, Shadowcat, who was later in a chrono displacement accident and was replaced with her younger self just as she joined the X-Men, Thunderbird, Phoenix, the Phoenix Force inhabiting the empty body of Colossus, and Armageddon, the son of Apocalypse. More on that later. Nocturne became a full member of the team and was romantically involved with James Proudstar, and for a long time she lived in her father's shadow, and he trained her very hard, often at the expense of her feelings. But having proven her skills and ability against Armageddon, she was able to reconcile somewhat with her father. Getting close to the end, and at number 3, Luke Cage and Jessica Jones. Danielle Cage from Earth 15061 is the Earth's Captain America. In the year 20XX, Danielle Cage became Captain America, having inherited the powers of both of her parents, Luke Cage and Jessica Jones. She was also a member of the Avengers initiative, first appearing in Avengers Ultron Forever #1 in 2015. One day during one of Manhattan's periodical floodings, the Golden Skull and his henchmen took advantage of the situation and stole several tanks full of helium. Captain America confronted them and easily took down the Skull's 2 henchmen. However, before she could knock out the villain, she was mysteriously surrounded and swallowed by a rectangle of energy. She was transported to a future universe, 400 years in the future to be exact, along with other heroes from other periods of time. A Jim Rhodes early into his career as an Iron Man, a Thor Odin's son cursed with immortality, the Thor who had temporarily replaced the original, a Hulk a few months into having become a monster, and a Black Widow and Vision from a period of time during which Danielle was a baby. Penultimately, in number 2, Tonya Parker and Clint Barton. You may think that the Ultimate Universe has messed up relationships, but wait until you hear about Earth 807128. The daughter of Peter Parker's youngest daughter, Tonya, and Hawkeye, Ashley Barton did not like the way the Kingpin was running Hammer Falls, so she formed a team of superheroes with her friends and attempted to take control of his territory, only to be captured and set to be executed. Her father broke her out of her cell, only to be shocked when Ashley killed the Kingpin to take over his territory for her own, using her newfound power to attempt to kill him as well. Logan rescued Hawkeye with his Spider-Mobile, and Ashley sent her men after them. Ashley eventually let go of her grudge and embraced her family legacy, calling herself Spider-Girl, and was recruited by the superior Spider-Man from Earth 616 to kill Karn, an individual who was hunting spider-themed people across the multiverse. First appearing in Wolverine Volume 3 number 67 in 2008, Peter Parker's granddaughter and the original Hawkeye had kids. Dear God! And finally, in number 1, Apocalypse and Jean Grey. Yeah, let that one sink in for a minute. Now before you flip out though and wonder how Jean Grey could get it on with Apocalypse, on Earth 2182, Armageddon was artificially created by Apocalypse through the genetic material of himself and Jean Grey to create the ultimate weapon. Ironically, he rejected Apocalypse's methods thanks to the gene half of him overpowering the evil, and instead joined his worst enemies, Professor W's X-Men. He helped the X-Men to destroy his father, and although he had joined the X-Men, he never really felt like he fit in with them, but Nightcrawler assured him that his place was with the X-Men. He even helped the X-Men defeat the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants led by Cyclops. Armageddon first appeared in X-Men Millennial Visions number 1 from 2000. And at 10, Ian Rogers. When Steve Rogers got trapped in Dimension Z, he rescued a baby boy while he was trapped there. Since time moves faster in that dimension though, he ended up raising the boy for over 10 years. Sharon Carter ended up raising him for the remainder of his childhood when she was also trapped in Dimension Z after going there to rescue Steve. The boy was the son of Armin Zola, but he saw Steve Rogers and Sharon Carter as his parents. His birth name was Leopold Zola, but he goes by Ian Rogers now, the name that his true father gave him. By the time he left Dimension Z, Ian was a full-grown adult. He then took on the name Nomad and partnered with Sam Wilson. And at 9, Francis Barton. On Earth 555326, also known as the Next Avengers Heroes of Tomorrow universe, Francis Barton was Clint Barton's son, who raised him to be a hero and helped the rebels known as the Scavengers, and Francis led them around Machine City after his father's death. When the children of the other deceased Avengers, James Rogers, Torin, Hank Pym Jr., and Osri, arrived, he saved them from Ultron's forces, and James and his siblings followed Francis and the Scavengers to their home base. He told them that he was the surviving son of the original Hawkeye. Then Francis became infuriated when he realized that he wasn't the last Avenger, and angrily wondered the whereabouts of the others during his time of desperate survival. James reasoned that they didn't know of his existence, much like their fathers did, and James, the son of Captain America, and Francis often argued. At first he seemed cold and indifferent to his new friends, but as time passed, he showed himself to be just as much of a jokester and a flirt as Clint ever was. Which is kinda weird because they're kids. And at 8, Katie Summers. After the Earth was destroyed by a Celestial, survivors moved into another planet. Here, Havoc and Wasp get married and have a child, Catherine Summers. However, she was born a human, not a mutant, and thus would be subjected to persecution in an all-mutant world. Consequently, her existence was kept secret to only her parents and her godfather, Hank McCoy. Years later, Kang appeared and forced Havoc to follow his plan by taking Katie away. Given her connection to the alpha-level mutant Havoc though, if they ever decided to retcon Katie, we can guess that at some point she'd develop a similar power set to Havoc. So if they ever decide to retcon her, she'll be pretty powerful. Havoc absorbs ambient cosmic energy into his cells of his body and processes it into plasma. This results in control over an extremely powerful sort of destructive force. And at times he's not entirely able to control this ability, which sometimes makes him a danger to those around him unless he wears a special containment suit to assist him. Havoc's body is also constantly in the process of absorbing cosmic radiation, so he can basically do it whenever. And given that superhero kids are usually more powerful than their parents, if they ever decide to retcon her, this is gonna be scary, okay? Look, I know that she's a human, but sometimes humans are the most powerful beings. She's also number 8, so chill. And at 7, Osri T'Challa. Osri is the son of Black Panther and Storm. He was taken to safety by Iron Man along with James Rogers, Torin, and Henry Pym Jr. to keep them all safe from Ultron. Osri, along with his other siblings, only knew of the Avengers through Tony's tales of their former glory days. And as the son of the Black Panther and Storm, Osri inherited their powers and abilities of the heart-shaped herb from his father, enhanced speed, agility, strength, endurance, healing, and senses. He also inherited the powers and abilities of electrokinesis from his mother. One day while he was playing hide and seek with Pym, the Vision arrived at the refuge. Tony tells everyone to wait in James's room until he tells them otherwise. While Osri is fine with waiting, the others aren't, and he fails at convincing them to wait as Tony instructed. When he failed, he and his siblings found a secret entrance to a repair bay under their parents' grave markers. As they searched, they found a room full of Iron Man-style robots who resembled each of their parents. While James and Torin lingered, Osri and Pym kept moving and managed to find Tony and the strange robot, which is actually the Vision. And then all the Avenger robots end up waking up, and then they go to fight Ultron as their programming intended, so then there's a whole kerfuffle. That's when they meet Francis Barton. And it's 6, Torin. On Earth 555326, Torin was the daughter of Thor and Sif. Torin was taken to safety by Tony Stark alongside the other children to keep them safe from Ultron, and Torin, like the others, only knew of the Avengers through Tony's stories. She could oftentimes be both arrogant and prideful, but I mean, so could her father. But she has become humble through the learning and of the coping with her mortality, because she is actually immortal. After the arrival of the Vision, Torin and her siblings got too curious for their own good and revealed the secret entrance, which I just explained. While with James, she found the Iron Avengers, and then they accidentally activated their robots, and their automatic programming sent them to intercept Ultron, in which the Iron Avengers attacked. But the Iron Avengers were assimilated by Ultron, so that's gonna be fun. Look, she may not be the sharpest tool in the shed, but at least she's powerful. She's Thor's daughter. Halfway through into number 5, Groot. Okay, so this is a pretty weird one, I have to admit. But technically speaking, baby Groot is the offspring of Groot. And while yes, he is also just Groot, baby and teen Groot are younger versions of Groot, and that's basically what a child is. Just a younger version of yourself. And while this may have been a asexually produced offspring, so what? This counts in my book. And while you may consider Groot a guardian of the galaxy and not an Avenger, he served as an Avenger for a time in both the comics and in the MCU. So you can back off, boy. Okay? This is a very meta number, I know, but we've included clones on lists like these before. This is close enough, it's fine with me. Kids are basically clones, we've talked about actual clones, so deal with it. And at 4, Sarah Rogers. In an alternate world where the heroes and villains assembled for the Secret Wars never left Battleworld, the location of the conflict, the combatants called a truce and settled down to raise families. Sarah Rogers was actually the daughter of Steve Rogers, Captain America, and the X-Men Rogue. In this reality, Rogue was referred to as Carol, indicating that the stolen psyche of the Avenger Carol Danvers was in control of Rogue's body, and given Sarah's existence, had learned to control Rogue's powers enough to conceive a child. Malefactor Vincent Von Doom, the son of Dr. Doom, tried to take over the Battleworld and return to Earth, in order to follow in his father's footsteps and conquer it, because of course. But Sarah led her fellow young heroes to stop Vincent, and along the way grabbed Mjolnir, proving her worthiness to wield the enchanted hammer. So, as a kid, yeah, you're on the list, don't worry. And at 3, Hulk Gang. The Hulk Gang is a gang of hillbilly Hulks who are the result of Hulk impregnating his first cousin's She-Hulk, though not willingly, might I add. Most of the Hulk Gang members though are grandchildren of Bruce Banner, who have become run-of-the-mill thugs, beating or killing people when they don't pay their rent on time. When the Hulk Gang found Logan and he didn't have his money to pay the rent for his farm, its members Bobby Joe, Charlie, and Otis Banner paid a visit to him and punished him for missing a payment. Shortly before leaving though, they said that he had to pay double next month, otherwise they would kill him and his family. However, while Logan was away delivering a package with Hawkeye to get the money that he actually owed them, the Hulk Gang got bored and murdered his family. Once Logan returned home and learned about what happened in his absence from his neighbor Abraham, he went after the Hulk Gang and killed all of the members that he actually encountered, including Bobby Joe, Charlie, Otis, Rufus, Woody, Bo, Elrod, Eustace, and Luke Banner. So attaboy Logan. But ultimately, in at number 2, Vivian Vision. Viv was a synthezoid created by the Vision in his process to humanize himself through the creation of a family. The brainwaves of Viv and her twin brother Vin come from the combination of the brain patterns of Vision and Virginia, Viv and Vin's mother and Vision's wife. The Visions moved to Arlington, Virginia in order to facilitate Vision becoming the Avengers White House liaison, but I also kind of find that funny. Vision, Virginia, Viv, and Vin moved to Virginia. Come on. The family though became instant celebrities with their neighbors, constantly seeking pictures and then them posting them online. This caught the attention of Eric Williams, who became upset that Vision would create a family that appeared to be happy, when the Williams family wasn't, which, I mean, like, what? That's like getting mad at an Instagram model for faking her life. As well as the fact that the Vision's brainwaves were taken from his brother Simon in the first place. Both Viv and Finn attended school at the Alexander Hamilton High School in Fairfax, but they were assigned different schedules to help them assimilate with their classmates. Considering how I previously said that Ultron assimilated a whole load of robots, you kinda have to admit the word assimilate their classmates is kinda setting off a few red flags here. And finally, in at number 1, Lyra. The daughter of Thundra, the Empress of the United Sisterhood, and the Incredible Hulk on Earth 8009, Lyra was gifted with the strength of her parents and trained as an elite warrior for the Sisterhood in their fight against men. But, unlike the other Gamma mutants, Lyra secretly grew weaker the angrier she got. Lyra was called by the Gynosure to head a secret mission, one not even her select band of warrior compatriots were aware of. The Sisterhood's cradle was malfunctioning, causing defective births, and without a replacement circuitry, it would be the end of the Sisterhood's ability to replenish their numbers, eventually leading to their extinction. Lyra was armed with Boudica, a wristwatch with an artificial intelligence linked to both the Sisterhood and Gynosure at all times, and sent to the men's cradle to steal the appropriate parts to repair their own cradle. When a traitor turned on Lyra at the request of the Gynosure, the replacement parts were destroyed in their fight. Lyra returned to Gynosure to confront her for her treachery, but was then sent to Earth 616 to seek out the great Norman Osborn and breed with him. Man, Norman Osborn, man. Every time.
Number 10, Helena Wayne, Earth 2. Before there was Helena Wayne of Earth 2, there was Helena Wayne of Earth 2. Are you confused yet? Are you watching this with subtitles? This version of Helena Wayne was the first child of Catwoman and Batman from Earth 2. The original Earth 2, cause yeah, there's 2 Earth 2s. Look, I don't know what to tell you, it's DC, it's confusing. The original Earth 2 that this Helena Wayne is from was one of the worlds destroyed during Crisis on Infinite Earths. We later would see Earth 2 brought back, but of course slightly different, and technically in a different continuity. But on this Earth 2 that we're talking about, Helena's mother died in a tragic accident when she was blackmailed into returning to a life of crime. This is in part what actually inspired Helena Wayne to fight crime herself, taking up the name Huntress and avenging her mother's death. She tracked down the man responsible and learned that the photo that he had used to blackmail her mother was actually a fake. It showed her mother killing a cop, but in truth, Catwoman had never done such a thing during her time as Catwoman. Huntress in this version of Earth 2 is known for being a skilled fighter, martial artist, and archer. She typically fights with batarangs or a crossbow. Number 9. Helena Wayne, Earth 2. This alternate version of Helena hails from the same reality as Power Girl, who is also her best friend. Helena on Earth 2 is the daughter of Catwoman and Batman. And to be clear, this is the Earth 2 that came after the previous Earth 2 that we just talked about. I hope everyone's following this. I hope you're following this. I wish I had drawn like a diagram for everyone. There's this Earth 2 and there's this Earth 2. Helena here initially fought alongside her father as his Robin. However, she ended up leaving her world in what she thought was the pursuit of Darkseid after her father was killed during a Parademon's attack. Helena had tried to save her dad but was unable to, as the tower that he was in exploded, killing him. This version of Helena would spend a lot more time on Prime Earth with Power Girl, who took the name Karen Starr. The two would split up for a while but inevitably rejoin forces and find a way back to their Earth, their home. Back on Earth 2, Helena would take up her father's mantle, eventually becoming the new Batman. And if you're wondering, wait, no, do you mean Batwoman? Did you say that wrong? No, I mean Batman. That is the name that she takes. Batman, just like her dad. Being trained by Batman, Helena has a bunch of skills as his and Catwoman's daughter. She's especially well known for her skills with a crossbow, as an investigator, her stealth, and her fighting prowess. Before becoming Batman while living on Prime Earth, Helena went by the hero name Huntress. All the Helena Waynes, all the Huntresses, all the Bat babies. Bat baby. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving this list and you want to learn more about Batman's kids, be sure to let us know by giving this video a thumbs up. He's got a lot of cool kids, and I'd like to talk more about them. Number 8. Terry McGinnis. Terry is basically Batman in the future. He not only has Batman's genes, but was trained by the old man himself, and he also has future tech to aid him in his missions as well. You might not think of Terry McGinnis as Batman's son, considering, well, he has two other parents who raised him and brought him into the world. But Terry is also genetically related to Batman. Amanda Waller helped to create Terry into the man that he is today. She manipulated his father's DNA to make sure that when Terry was conceived, his genes would actually match Batman's, aka Bruce Wayne's. This all happened as part of Project Batman Beyond, which was all about building a new Batman to replace the former. Waller also almost had his parents assassinated to help give Terry motivation to become a hero, but Andrea Beaumont's Phantasm, who she hired to do that job, ended up refusing to go through with it. But don't worry, he still becomes Batman anyways. Otherwise, he wouldn't have any skills for me to talk about, I guess. Could you imagine if I just had like most powerful children of Batman and they were all like accountants or something? And I was like, this is a better accountant than the other one. Number 7. Tim Drake. Tim Drake is known for being probably one of the smartest children of Batman around. Although Tim had parents in the original continuity of New Earth, he was adopted by Bruce Wayne. So at least then and there he was considered an adoptive son. In the current continuity, his backstory hasn't become quite as tragic as the former, and I believe his parents are still alive in that reality. Although I think he's still considered Batman's adopted son there too. So he has parents, but he's also adopted? I don't know. While Tim might not be the best marksman or fighter of the bunch of Bat kids, he is definitely the most intelligent and best detective when it comes to living up to Batman's legacy. Does this make him the most powerful? I don't know, it can depend on the mission that he's got, I guess. I would argue that smarts is actually one of the most powerful things or skills you can possess when it comes to heroics, but many others often measure power in how hard you can hit. So even though I kinda wanna put Tim Drake higher on this list, I feel like there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna be like, but he's not the biggest muscles. Which is fine if that's how you measure power, but how do you measure power? I mean, there's lots of ways to measure it. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments. Number 6. Helena Wayne, Last Rites Batman/Catwoman. I promise this is the last Helena on this list, although honestly I really do love a lot of what they do with all the Helena Waynes. I love Helena Wayne as a character, and I wish that she was part of the main continuity. Let Batman and Catwoman be together and let them give us a Helena Wayne. This is probably my favorite version of Helena thus far. She is the one that appears as the daughter of Catwoman and Batman in Last Rites and Tom King's Batman/Catwoman series. This version of Helena is really just, I think, a little bit of an improvement of the redo that we saw with her character from New 52's Earth 2. She also has the investigative skills of her mother and father and is a skilled fighter and acrobat. Helena Wayne here goes on to become Batwoman in honor of both of her parents. Also, if you're wondering how Kate Kane feels about about that because, you know, that's kind of her mantle, I'm not sure what she's up to in this reality, or if she exists. If you know more about Kate Kane here, please share with me in the comments. I'd love to learn more. I tried to do some research on that and I was like, I can't find anything, so I'm assuming Kate Kane is like, I feel nothing because I'm not here. Bye. Number 5. Damian Wayne. Probably one of the most powerful semi-natural born kids around, and definitely one of the most dangerous, is Damian Wayne. Damian is the son of Batman and sometimes villain, sometimes ally, Talia al Ghul. Depending on which story you were going with, his conception was pretty controversial, as it has been implied and interpreted mainly that Talia forced herself on Bruce in order to get pregnant with Damian. Damian also was only a semi-naturally born kid because he did not gestate in a womb, but instead was kind of like grown in a tube. He was raised initially by his mother, who then dropped him on Bruce's doorstep when he was around, I think, 8 or 10. Initially, he and his father didn't get along too great, partly because of Damian's spoiled attitude, and partly because, despite still being a kid, he was already a murderous, deadly assassin that had been raised mainly by the League of Assassins. So, you know, that's gonna be a problem. Especially as, you know, Batman has a moral code and Damian initially didn't really have much of a moral code. He was like, what's wrong? I can just decapitate people, that's fine. Why is it a big deal? They're bad guys. Number 4. Jason Todd. Everyone's favorite son of the Bat has got to be Jason Todd, or at least a lot of people's favorite son of the Bat. If that's not you, that's okay, but I know there's a lot of Jason Todd fans out there, so like, show yourselves. I see you. Well, Jason Todd has come a long way since he was first introduced in the comics, back when we knew him by the nickname Jason J. Todd. When he originally appeared in issue 357 of Batman, his backstory was actually very similar to former Robin Dick Grayson. Of course, his backstory would be redone and it wouldn't be this anymore, but initially, in the New Earth continuity, Jason Todd was introduced as an orphan whose parents were both originally acrobats who had died. Does that sound familiar to anyone? Like Dick Grayson before him, Jason was taken in by Bruce Wayne and trained to become his new Robin. Bruce even seemingly adopts Jason in this version of the story, making him one of the Batman's adopted kids. And I think even in Prime Earth continuity we consider him an adopted kid, although I don't know if he's formally been adopted. Jason Todd now, however, has more of a challenging relationship with Bruce Wayne in the current Prime Earth continuity due to the fact that he has no problem killing villains when needed and often uses lethal force and firearms against them when he fights. Jason Todd is known for being one of the most gifted and brutal fighters in the DC universe. But Jason's not just a bruiser, he's also got a sharp mind as well, and perhaps even a bit of a magical power set since being revived in the Lazarus pits. There was also, I think for a time, we considered him to be immortal because of that, but I don't think that's a thing anymore. For those that want to be like, he's immortal! I don't know if that's true anymore, but it was a thing at one point that was implied. Number 3. Nightwing. While Dick Grayson is not born of Batman, he spent a good amount of time being raised by him and is actually an officially adopted child of Bruce Wayne's. After years of Dick being like an adopted son to Bruce, Bruce decided to actually fill out the paperwork and finally make it official. So yeah, there's actually paperwork for this one, friends. Nightwing is one of the most powerful Robins, Bat family members, and sons of Batman around. He is a great all-around kind of powerful. Instead of dominating in one specific field when it comes to Batman's skill set, Nightwing does a great job of excelling sort of in all aspects equally. While some might think that this makes him weaker overall because he's not like a super big powerhouse in one area, I'd argue it makes him stronger overall as a character, as it means he has less weak spots in comparison to some of the other heroes, anti-heroes, and even villains in the multiverse who have trained under Batman. Nightwing is a great detective, fighter, acrobat, and he has a great heart, which is part of the reason he's such an amazing hero. Number 2. Cull. Cull is the daughter of Wonder Woman and Batman from the Dark Multiverse. We don't as of yet know what Dark Earth Cull hailed from, only that she was raised and trained by both her parents before she turned to the dark side, joining the Batman Who Laughs, who in turn served Perpetua. During the Dark Knight's death metal event, Cull ended up in a fight against Wonder Woman, who was amazed by her strength and her skills as a fighter. To read more about Cull and her badass self, you can check out Dark Knight's death metal Trinity Crisis, and I know that the Dark Multiverse is kinda gone, but I do hope we get to learn more about Cull and her backstory. I hope that's like not the only time we get to see her. She just seems like such an interesting character to me, and also I miss the Dark Multiverse. I just want more dark multiverse. Please, please. She ranks high on this list because due to her heritage, she possesses an Amazonian physiology like her mother. This means she is not likely someone that you would want to come up against in a fight. And she likely also possesses her father's enhanced intellect and sense of resourcefulness, making her an even more dangerous enemy to face. Also, it's really rare, I think, that Batman and Wonder Woman get together in realities and actually have kids. I feel like that's not usually a thing that happens, so she's a rare one. Number 1. JARRO. JARRO is probably the strongest child of Batman to have ever existed. At least, obviously, in my mind. When it comes to his potential for power, he could technically conquer the entire Earth if he wanted to. Fortunately, he doesn't want to. JARRO mainly wants to be a good son and become the best Robin ever in his father's eyes. He was grown by Batman from a tissue sample he'd had of Starro the Conqueror. Batman grew and raised JARRO himself, teaching him how to be a good alien starfish and a good hero. JARRO has teamed up with his dad before to help the Justice League, and there's almost nothing that he wouldn't do for Bruce. Due to his unique alien physiology, JARRO has a slew of powers available to him, the main one being telepathy and mind control. He's also heckin' smart, possessing genius level intellect. Plus, he's the cutest. Like, I'm just saying, if we're doing a top 10 cutest children of Batman list, or even the Justice League, cutest children of the Justice League, I think that JARRO would also end up at the top. Like, he's pretty cute. Just putting it out there.
And at 10, Ultron 1320. Ultron 1320 comes to us from Earth 14622 and What If Age of Ultron number 1, an Earth where thanks to Wasp dying, Ultron is able to take over the world faster. Ultron was created to be the ultimate AI by Hank Pym to help the Avengers utilize their function better as a team. But with the untimely death of Pym's wife, Pym went on to create a more brutal version of Ultron, which was to replace the Avengers, which makes him technically the son of Hank Pym. So he's viable for this list, okay? But since he's a robot, I'm putting him at the top. Don't worry, that's why he's here. But with this, Ultron's sentience began to constantly evolve, and he started the eradication of the human race by taking out such threats as the Avengers and the Defenders while he left Pym alive to just watch everyone suffer. Ultron and his army of Ultron Sentinels then moved to Kola, Russia, so he could bore himself into the planet's core to create the ultimate version of himself, Ultron 1320. Ultron then had his minions batter and beat Pym unconscious until he woke up to find himself turned into Ultron 1321. This version also invaded other worlds, claiming Earths 62412, 23223, and 81223, but before being stopped on Earth 45162. That's a lot of numbers. And at 9, WICCAN. Billy Kaplan, also known by his superhero aliases Asgardian and Wiccan, is a superpowered warlock and the reincarnated son of the Scarlet Witch. He has spent time on numerous superhero teams including the Young Avengers and the New Avengers, and after Wiccan's powers overloaded during a battle with the Sons of the Serpent, the Avengers decided to keep him under observation. HULKLING and the other Young Avengers broke Wiccan out of holding and began to search for the Scarlet Witch. Accompanied by Magneto and Quicksilver, the team traveled to Transia and then to Latveria before discovering a depowered and amnesiac Wanda engaged to Doctor Doom. The rediscovery of Wanda did not go unnoticed though, as the Avengers soon arrived on the scene. Iron Lad teleported the Young Avengers and Wanda into the time stream, and they all went into the past and met a reanimated Jack of Hearts who was about to explode. After that, Wanda remembered who she was, regained her powers, and returned herself, the Young Avengers, and Scott Lang to the present. She then finally confirmed that Billy and Tommy were indeed her reincarnated sons, a story that seemingly will be adapted into the MCU come Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. In at 8, HULKLING. Teddy was one of the first people in the Avengers failsafe program, compiled by the Vision to be used as a form of new team of superheroes in the event of the destruction or the disbandment of the Avengers. Iron Lad, a younger version of Kang the Conqueror, found Teddy using the Vision's failsafe program and requested his help in preventing his future self from returning to the future. Teddy joined the Young Avengers and adopted the superhero identity of the HULKLING, despite actually being the son of Captain Marvel. He only took on the HULKLING identity to help keep in the theme of the Young Avengers being new versions of the original Avengers, using his powers to change his skin color to green. As well as these shape-shifting abilities comes the powers of flight, a healing factor, as well as superhuman stamina, durability, and strength. He also gains the ability of matter substitution when he and his husband Wiccan end up using their wedding rings together, which is kind of adorable, and goals. And at 7, Scotty Summers. Hailing from Earth 1298, Scotty is Alex Summers and Madeline Pryor's son. Scotty, as he came to be known, was born to the mutant superhero Havoc and his then girlfriend Madeline. Sometime after his birth, his mom and dad got married and they moved in with the reformed X-Factor. As a child, he showed no signs of exceptional power and enjoyed a normal life until the Inferno event. During Inferno, he was captured by a couple demons who planned to use him as a sacrifice to open up the world to the malevolent Goblin Force. Alone and afraid, he was rescued by his mother Madeline, who brokered a deal with the demons in exchange for her son's life. He returned home with her, and the demons and the nightmare it seemed were over. But when Havoc of Earth 616 wound up in his counterpart in the Mutant X's reality's dead body, Scott immediately recognized that this Havoc was not truly his father. This was the first hint at the scope of young Scotty's power. When his mother was possessed by the Goblin Queen, Scotty was also taken by his father and their nanny, the ninja assassin Elektra. The three became like a family themselves, and Scotty even bonded with his new father. Eventually, Scotty during the battle was captured along with Havoc by the evil entity, but he knew that he was in the right place at the right time, and incidentally knew exactly what to do to end the fight. With a simple touch, he managed to defeat the Goblin Queen, who was possessing his mother at the time. But yeah, it's pretty overpowered. I guess you could say that Scotty doesn't know about his powers. And at 6, Vision. The MCU Vision is in essence the son of Tony Stark, Bruce Banner, Ultron, and Thor, which is honestly a really weird combination. Or if you want to get more technical, I guess Thor and Ultron are closer to his parents, with like Tony and Bruce basically being his grandparents, aside from the whole using Jarvis to make Vision thing. So I guess technically, by that logic, Tony is also Vision's father and grandfather. What? Either way, powered by an advanced AI and the Mind Stone, Vision is probably one of the most powerful Avengers until he was killed in Infinity War at the hands of Wanda and then Thanos, which was a stupid idea as we saw thanks to Ultron Z's with Thanos in the What If series on Disney+, where using the Mind Stone, Ultron just literally tore Thanos in half, which is probably what Vision could have done, resulting in one of the most frustrating moments of the entire MCU to me. But oh well, what are you gonna do? But yeah, I think that with the Mind Stone he is certainly powerful, but his reluctance to use it to kill Thanos puts him higher on the list, as well as, you know, the whole being mostly dead thing. Halfway through into number 5, Valeria Richards. Valeria Richards is the second son of Dr. Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic, and Susan Richards, aka the Invisible Woman, who did serve as Avengers for a couple missions. Due to her parents being exposed to cosmic radiation and being conceived in the negative zone, it caused her birth to be traumatic. But thanks to her uncle, Dr. Doom, he saved her life using a combination of science and magic. She was born a standard human and developed a genius-level intellect like her father. But as an unborn infant, when she was approaching term, she began to emit bursts of deadly radiation that threatened both her and her mother. Despite bringing in fellow scientists and radiation experts like Bruce Banner, Michael Morbius, and Otto Octavius, Reed Richards was unable to save his daughter, who appeared to be stillborn. Appearances can be deceiving though. Franklin Richards, the couple's first child, felt a deep loss over his sister because, you know, he didn't have a sister anymore. Unconsciously though, he secretly used his psionic powers to transport this daughter to an alternate reality. After Franklin's cosmic powers were depleted during a battle to save all reality, Valeria reverted to an unborn child within Sue's womb. So all of a sudden, she was pregnant with Valeria again. Yeah, Sue then came to term, but again her life was threatened by bursts of radiation from the child. However, this time Johnny Storm enlisted the aid of Dr. Doom, who was able to save her, but not without a price. And at 4, Modi Thorson. In the Ultimate Universe of Earth 1610, when Thor traveled to Valhalla to retrieve the soul of Valkyrie, Hela appeared and told him if he managed to defeat her army that she would revive Valkyrie, but for a price. Thor remained in Valhalla once Valkyrie was revived, but when he requested to be sent back to Earth, Hela once again agreed, but for a price. This time though, it was a child. Thor agreed. Well, meanwhile on Earth, Amora showed Valkyrie a vision of Thor and Hela making love. Valkyrie didn't realize that he had to do it though, to get back to Earth, but whatever. Thor, after the deed, asked to be sent back to Earth, but Hela requested another price. In a rage, Thor drew his sword and was going to kill Hela before seeing that she was already pregnant. The child, named Modi, eventually joined with the Children of Tomorrow, and when the Children of Tomorrow invaded Asgard, Thor locked Modi in a room without doors to keep him safe, and gave him Mjolnir so that when he was worthy, he would have a way out. Weeks later, but in that room it was years, and after the children had destroyed Washington, an adult Modi broke free of the room, with Mjolnir in his hand. Disguised as the mysterious Mr. Moraz, Modi attempted to usher in another American Civil War by supporting various warring factions in America in order to destroy the country and create a new Asgard from its ashes. He eventually was killed by Thor after using the Mind Stone to control Thor's mind and siding with Hydra, so yeah, not a good kid overall, but still pretty damn powerful. In at 3, Red She-Hulk. A mysterious female version of Red Hulk first appeared when the Red Hulk had gathered a team of mercenaries to hunt down Domino. After this group, called Code Red, not sponsored by Mountain Dew, found Domino, Wolverine slashed his claws across Red Hulk's face, blinding him until his healing factor restored his eyesight. Wolverine was about to deliver the killing blow to Red Hulk when Red She-Hulk appeared, blindsiding him. Red She-Hulk protected Red Hulk long enough in challenging Wolverine. However, just as Red Hulk began to trust Red She-Hulk, she double-crossed him and plunged Elektra's stolen Psy into his neck. Code Red were gathered in the sewers and awaited orders from Samson. Their encounter ended with Red She-Hulk kicking Red Hulk off the Empire State Building. She was then captured by Hank Pym, but her identity was finally revealed when she was stabbed with a sword by Scar and reverted to her human form, revealing her to be Betty, Thaddeus Ross, aka Red Hulk's daughter. And Red She-Hulk has gone toe-to-toe with Hulk in a battle that resulted in both of them dying before being brought back by a wish that Hulk had made earlier. So yeah, pretty powerful. See, I know if someone has tussled with the Hulk to put him higher on this list now, since y'all can't let go. But ultimately, and in number 2, Scar. Scar was the progeny of Hulk and Sierra the Old Strong. After Sierra's death, I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong, a cocoon containing Scar fell into the Lake of Fire. After a period of time, Scar emerged from this cocoon, appearing to be the age of a human boy. A year later, he appeared to have grown into a young adult, and spent time in the swamps with old Sam, who attempted to raise, teach, and guide him after he discovered him shortly after the Shadow People burned tattoos into his skin. It took old Sam months to get him to wear a loincloth and speak, although to be fair, it would have also taken him a few months to get me to wear a loincloth. As the son of the Hulk though, Scar presumably possesses the capacity for vast, if not limitless levels of physical strength among other capabilities, ones which are either fueled by intense anger like his father or via channeling the old power. Once having absorbed 100 trillion tons of kinetic energy from a city to fight the Hulk, he sent Juggernaut flying into space with ease, punching beings miles away, just a lot. And not only that, but thanks to his mother, Scar also possesses the powers of the Shadow People, known as the Old Power, which allows him to connect to and manipulate the planet's energies, basically giving him lava and earthbending skills. Finally, in at number 1, Franklin Richards. Franklin Richards is the son of Reed and Sue Richards of the world-renowned Fantastic Four, who, like I said, were at one point working alongside the Avengers, and who were deemed Avengers for a couple missions, so I'm counting it. Basically, the frickin' Celestials have deemed this kid to be beyond Omega level on the scale of mutant-based powers, so yeah. A future version of Franklin came back to our present and managed to bend Galactus to his will, making Galactus Franklin's herald, which I think speaks for itself. This kid is able to tear the universe apart with a single thought, probably making him the scariest damn toddler on the face of this planet. And that's coming from someone who already thinks toddlers are scary, okay? You should have seen that one kid who tried to stab me with safety scissors. It was certainly an interesting Tuesday afternoon. And in the book History of the Marvel Universe, Franklin Richards is revealed to apparently survive the end of his universe and pass on to the next one, like Galactus did, which is freaking insane.